Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are still those who would say, and what does it feel like? And they address my partner and they would say, to channel as you do, seemingly so easy. There's no deep breathing exercises, there's no getting ready. And I will tell you, when my partner steps aside, is it a phrase that is used? You realize, do you not, that in this process called channeling, right this moment, we are using everything that this human being's body has, including his intellect, his language, his culture, pronunciation, what he's learned. All of that comes with filters. All of it comes with what we would call human baggage. And what he has done is to slowly remove as many of those things as he could identify, as I could identify, as others have identified. And by stepping aside, it means literally that the filters are pulled. And in that, the portal that is the higher self through what we have called the pineal, the esoteric pineal, is open. And through that opening, I come. There are those who have said, is it really Kryon? A name no one ever heard of. Or could it be my partner's higher self? And the answer is both. For it requires my partner's higher self to deliver the message that I have. And so it is a partnership. You might even say there's three of us here. There is the human being, there is the higher self of my human being partner, there is me. And then there are the questions, and who are you? And the answer is yes. I am part of the creative source. I've never been a human being. I'm the teacher. I've been here with you. I belong to Earth. There is no other Kryon in any other planet. I've never said that before. Oh, I've been there, but not in this role. I've watched humanity with you, human being, you and your soul and me, watching the earth cool, knowing what was at stake. And then I remind you that the soul group that you are has come from many other planets. Yes, you are the ETs. You have had so much experience in this galaxy, way beyond that of a human being. It's bigger than you think. And all of this is shut out to you. My role is to then start the process of reminding, to expose things that you, using your discernment, will find to be true or not. That is my role. Now let me reveal some things, and let me tell you some things. I'll start with the review. Crossing this bridge is going to change human nature. My partner spoke of this earlier, that human nature is going to shift, but it's got to have elements that are new in it for it to shift in the way that you would expect that we have seen in other civilizations. And that shift is what we're going to talk about today, because it requires you begin something new. And you got to do it slowly, but you must have it identified. In the last year or so, we have given you messages about what you've done. We've told you about the year of recalibration. We have told you that this is the first year of true human civilization as it's going to be known in your future. In order for these things to take place, you're going to have to shift and change. You're going to have to shift and change. And then I started reminding you what those shifts would be. I even gave you some suggestions, and I planted some seeds of controversy that I'm going to tell you about. I did it on purpose, and I'm going to tell you that in a moment. All of this to begin a process that you need to hear. Kryon, what is it we need to do next? What is the role of a light worker? If we are old souls, shouldn't this be intuitive? And I'll tell you that, no, you've never been here before. Your brain is going to be of no help here. Do you understand that? The brain is a record of experiences. It helps you with survival, and we've told you that before. Emotional survival, we've told you that before. But it has never, ever seen what's coming. It won't know how to react. It may guide you in poor ways because it's experimenting. It's time for you to open other avenues to give you good advice. Now, you knew that. But you don't know how big that is. And that is going to become the new human. We told you the results of it, but we never told you how to begin. We'll get to that. We've given you channel after channel about the potentials of the new human being on the planet. We've painted pictures to you that warmed your heart. We've told you that integrity is going to build itself as the new postulate of the age, and that you're going to come to expect it in all places, that it will be intrinsic to human nature and not what it is today. For today it's still the infancy of the human being showing itself as if on the playground with children. It's going to shift. It's going to change. We told you you're going to see it in government. You're going to see it in business. We told you you're going to see it in the places you least expect it. We told you some of the institutions that you have now that are not filled with integrity will come crashing down unless they change. They have to. We told you that the recession you're in is an example. What happened when you discovered that banking didn't have integrity in the system in this country? You're still paying the price. That is the kinds of things, and those are the kind of things to expect. Now, what are you supposed to do? Here you sit. We've told you you're like farmers ready to plant a seed, but you don't really know what to plant. You're ready to watch the crops grow, and you're saying, we'll be patient, but you don't know what to plant. We haven't really started a process, have we, of giving you good, intuitive things to do. This channel will begin that. It'll begin it in a very small way. It's going to be informative, not instructive. No real instructions, more than information about how to proceed. But it has to start somewhere. We've reached the middle of 2014. We wanted to wait until there was an activation of the time capsules in Mount Shasta, and in Turkey. The opening of those portals of information will start a push-pull energy on this planet that will start to give you more information. It's going to enhance what we tell you next. Now this is really important that you understand. You are used to a system where you sit at the feet of an instructor and you may take notes, and the instructor says, here is what to do, A, B, C, D. You write them down and then you practice them. That's all going away. That's all going away. And instead the instructor will say, here is the information to expect through your intuitive self if you choose to listen. And that'll be it. It's all changing. It's being placed upon you to start a process that you haven't done before. But the promise is that the process is going to be explained. There is a confluence of energy starting to occur on this planet through your grids, enhanced by these time capsules and these what we'll call pairs that are opening, that we have told you about, that literally are changing consciousness, the frequency that you tune to. Old soul, what I'm telling you this in more plain language is this, is that the moment you open this door and say, I'll try, in will flood help. It's not going to be channeled in the way you think. It's not going to come in stages. It's not going to come as ABC, 1, 2, 3. It's going to pour into you in esoteric ways that you don't expect. Let's start. I'm going to tell you what we already told you. And now I reveal something. I gave you 3 instructions through the last year and a half that were designed to stir the pot. And there's a reason, and now you get to find out why. I gave you 3 bits of information that all got everyone excited. And not necessarily excited in a good way. Stirring the pot has brought out those who I want to talk to, who might never have listened before. I gave 3 pieces of information. Here they were. Number 1, I told light workers to stop spinning in conspiracy theories. Those who are attracted to conspiracy theories are normally light workers. Did you notice? And old souls. Did you notice? And there's a number of reasons why. And the interesting thing is the conspiracies that they champion and are invested in are often correct. I didn't say they weren't. I told them to stop it. And it didn't sit well, because that's their whole life's work. They got drawers filled with articles about what they're interested in. And all they want to do is get this information out so others will know what the government is doing to them, or what the drug companies are doing to them, or this group or that group or this group or that group. And what they see in this is their champion self helping the planet. And I told them it isn't helping the planet. I didn't want to hear it. Some of them left and some of them complained. And they said, use your discernment when you listen to that channel, because Kryon got that one wrong. I'm going to use a phrase, and I'm going to use it over and over. If you're one of those who is spending all their time, dear one, on a cause, a conspiratorial issue that you know is happening on this planet, and you want to help correct it, I've got a question for you. Look me in the eye and tell me how that's going to help peace on earth. It isn't. You may correct it. You may inform. You may get people to hold signs for you, and you may feel really good about that. How is it helping, old soul, with peace on earth? And the answer is, it isn't. Did you know that? Did you recognize that? And here is what I want to tell you. There is no judgment here. It's the best you had in an old energy. It's the best you had. Listen to me. Can you put that away and turn inward and look at yourself? How do other people look at you? Do they want to be with you? And you could say, well, no, they don't, because I got all of these things to talk about. And they're not helping really with the new earth. Not really. There has got to be a softening planet. These conspiracies that you are talking about, as real as they might be, I would like to tell you something. They are going to take care of themselves. When enough human beings in a new energy find out about these things you've been trying to tell them about, they're going to correct it. So you're going to get your way. Are you going to wait till the next lifetime to awaken? Or are you just going to keep going and spinning? It's not helping anybody. Not really. And they came out of the woodwork on that one. The next one was even more volatile. And it wasn't that long ago. And when I channeled it, my partner cringed. I could feel it. He said, Kryon, what are you doing? Now, I'll tell you what I was doing. I'm stirring the pot. I want to bring them out. I started to tell you how the Egyptians built their pyramids without ET help. They're smarter than you think. You're going to find out eventually they did it without ET help. There's also all kinds of things you're not aware of. Clever uses of water. And you have a bias. Well, they didn't have any water. Yes, they did. They don't today. Doesn't mean they didn't then. I told you the Nazca lines, why they were built, how they were built, and they were not runways for the gods. I started to identify what I will call common sense real history. And out they came. Kryon got that one wrong. Everybody knows ETs did it. Doesn't Kryon knows that ETs were here? Here's the funny part, dear ones. Remember what Kryon has said. I have championed the cause of ETs. You are all sitting here with ET DNA. And of course they're here. Their fingerprints are everywhere. But it doesn't mean they built the pyramids. Now, why would I say this? What is the reasoning? Why do I have? I'm Kryon. I'm talking to you about the love of God. Why was that put in there? My partner didn't like it. Now I'll tell you why. Because there were all kinds of those who came out of the woodwork and would say, now, wait a minute. Now, he got that one wrong. Why are you listening to Kryon when he's got all these things wrong? There's a lot of light workers that are attracted to the ET subjects to the point where nothing else matters. And you're spending your life on it. And you know why? Because you're an old soul. Because you have all of that ET knowledge in your Akash. Of course you're attracted to it. Of course you are. You're an old soul. Many of you are even Lemurians, and that is your purpose. And I'm going to ask you something. How is this helping peace on earth? You want to figure out how they did it? You want to prove a point? Go ahead. And in the meantime, you are so valuable to humanity. Can you listen to me for a moment when I'm telling you, go ahead. You have free choice, but how is this helping peace on earth? When you sit there with that tool set, when you have that ability, using your Akash to really, honestly see the fingerprint of the gods. Why are you spending your time on that? Why don't you turn your focus to the new frequency. Turn it in on yourself and find out who you are, because this is where you belong. And that's why I did it. Now my partner is saying, oh, that makes sense. I told him I'd explain it eventually. The third one I said was even worse. I said to New Agers, stop being weird. Who wants to be with you when you're an outcast and you act funny? And I said, is this what you want to show the world? You're unbalanced? Nice job. Because a lot of you are doing that. People walk the other way. And I ask you this, what master do you know that did that? The masters of the planet had balance. You wanted to be with them. You wanted to be with them. Do you realize that? And you didn't like that either. Because being weird was your New Age birthright. This is what you do. And you're proud of it. And I said, stop it. How is that helping peace on earth? You've got so much equipment. I want you to start balancing yourselves. I want you to step out of the weirdness. And you can, you know. Why don't you show people the love of God in your life instead of the strangeness you believe? I want you to weigh what other people look at. How are you going to help peace on earth by being strange? Oh, you've got answers. Yeah, but Kryon, we meditate. We use compassion, and we help this area, that. We're praying for rain. We're praying for this. We all do all these things. It's not going to bring peace on earth. That's going to be one human at a time in a balanced state, claiming mastery. Mastery is balance. And this is what I want to talk about, because I got 3 instructions for you. Now we've come to what is the next step. And it's all about an energy that you don't understand. In the mode that you have come from, which is survival, you've used your brain. We have given you multiple channels about intuition. We've identified it. We've talked about what it is, where it comes from, how it works, how it doesn't work. Now we get into what we would call the nitty-gritty. Dear human being, I want you to understand intuition. I want you to understand that it is the new way of communicating, period. You've got survival and you've got intuition. The human body is designed to heal itself, to live hundreds of years through combining 2 things, the human brain and the intuitive self. And up to now, it simply has not done a good job at all. Because what has been missing is that intuitive self. It's not there. The innate, the smart body has to be at least equal to the human brain, and it isn't. It isn't even close. You barely open the door. I want you to start studying it. And the best way is with yourself. Do you have it? What is it? What does it feel like? That is the first step. You gotta walk before you can run. And the first item that I'm giving you after all this time is learn what intuition feels like. There are ways to practice it, and I have given them in the past. We're getting to that next. Do you have it? The answer is all of you. It is elusive, and we've even given you a channel called the elusiveness of the Akash and also of the intuition. Elusive because it does not present itself in 3D. Now, I have channeled something else, and I want to tell you about it. The minute you start looking, something's going to happen. I'll give you a metaphor. When you start to study something in 3D, and you hit the books, as they say, this is hard. And all of you have gone through this. A learning curve, a time when you realize that you must commit to memory certain kinds of things, and you've got to go to certain things in order to learn certain things, in order to pass certain tests. And the burden has always fallen upon you totally for this. You make the assumption that what is going to come next is exactly that way, and it isn't. Because now you got help. And if you want to know what the nodes and the nulls are about, and the time capsules about, and all of these things, it's preparation. It's preparation. There are legions of those preparing to deliver to human consciousness the tools that will accelerate what you're asking for. Another example is this. As soon as you open the door to say, I want to know more about intuition, I want to start learning what it feels like, there's going to be a hand that reaches toward you from that door and says, come on, we'll show you. You don't have to do it by yourself. And there's no way I can prove it. Here we go. You're in an area you didn't expect, and it's not 3 dimensions. Your body has a quantum attribute that is enormous, and you've never used it. You want me to give you an example of what the body can do that you might relate to? It's called spontaneous remission. You know what that is? It's the quantum body intelligence doing something almost instantly, because it can, within the human body by itself, without an explanation, so dramatic that there's only one possibility: miracle. We'll start thinking differently. What if it was about DNA? What if it was you with you? What if you were that powerful? And you only see it once in a while, don't you? Usually developed, by the way, in fear. Interesting. You are so big. There's an entire part of you that is about to open up. When you begin the process, the hand comes forward. You feel it. Oh, I see. Oh, thank you. Are you open and ready for that? This is not a study of 1, 2, 3. This is about what we've told you 23 years ago. It's called pure intent. Here it comes. The new tools are arriving. Number 2, once you have identified what it feels like, the next thing is to capture it and practice it. There are ways, dear ones. We're not going to give them to you now. I'm just giving you the 1, 2, 3s of what may come in a way you don't expect. You can practice intuitive thought. There are ways of identifying it and using it, challenging it, seeing if it's right or if it's wrong. I will tell you something we have never said. The intuitive self is every bit as complicated and as big as the human brain. Do you know why? Because it has more parts. Every single molecule of DNA is ready to work in tandem to create this. You've got hundreds of trillions of those parts. It's bigger than human synapse. Imagine an intelligent body that was not centralized. It's the human Merkaba. That's what you're developing. The whole thing. It's going to dwarf the brain. Now, the brain is good as what it does. It'll continue doing what it does. It'll do it even better because it'll start marrying with the intuitive part. Now, the pineal, it just hides there as a very small little organ, sitting there doing its job. making melatonin and serotonin, and that's all you think about what it does. But it's quantum. It's bigger than you think. It's the portal. It's part of the human brain. It has to be. Now, think with me for a moment. You see, there's a cooperation, an alignment, a confluence, a partnership, anything you want to call it. They're not separate. They're going to be together. The human being who starts to awaken to its own quantum energy using intuitiveness in ways that we are going to discuss eventually is one who starts to enhance the whole human being, does not compartmentalize brain and intuitive, but melds them together. That was two. And the third one? I want you to start counting on synchronicity. Synchronicity, the unexplained events that happen out of synchronicity with randomness. They have coherence. Imagine coherence of accidents. Now that's an oxymoron, isn't it? A coherence of accidents. You accidentally meet somebody, you accidentally are in the right place at the right time, you accidentally find out this, that, and the other. You accidentally find the cure for the incurable. You accidentally find the love of your life. You accidentally run into situations you can't believe were always there right in front of you. This is Spirit working with you, and the more intuitive you get, the more synchronicities will occur. That really is the lesson for today. Is it possible, Kryon, that I can count on synchronicity? Is it possible I can count on freaky coincidence? And the answer is, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And you know what's going to happen? Pretty soon you will walk a path and people will look at you and say, I don't know how you're doing this, but do you mind if I come along with you? You're just really lucky. And they may learn what you know along the way. And you take them by the hand, and in loving ways, you don't give them a Kryon book. You love them. You don't tell them about conspiratorial issues. You don't tell them about how the ETs built this and that and how we're all wrong and the way we got it. You save that if you have to. You look at them and you love them. Maybe that's too hard. Maybe that's too hard. And for those of you who just want to spin, this is the hardest thing you're ever going to do, is stop spinning and look at other human beings and love them. Hardest thing you'll ever do. Some of you in this room are equipped for this and ready for this and wanted to hear this. This is the balance that's going to save this planet. Human nature is going to shift into the intuitive part. You're going to get guidance that nobody understands. You're going to walk a path where everybody's going to say, you are really lucky because you're counting on things that are chance to somebody who's looking at you in 3D. But it isn't chance at all. You are connected. And you're using your intuition to be in the right place at the right time. That's synchronicity. And that leads to co-creation. Do you see how that picture now is changing human nature? The more humans who learn this and do it, the quicker you will have a confluence of consciousness that starts to actually shift in a way you can see it on the news. Look for it. That's when you'll know you're achieving something. Watch for the good news channel and you'll know you're achieving something. People who tune in only for the great things that are happening and the good things that are happening. Watch for corporations to outdo each other in integrity and transparency. It'll be a contest and you will say, I'm on another planet. Watch for it in politics. We've told you these things before. And you'll say, no, that's a stretch. You got that one wrong. Do I? If you live long enough, you're going to see it all. This is the potential we've given you. Start slow, dear ones. I want you to recognize intuition. What does it feel like? Then I want you to start practicing making it work, and then leading into synchronicity. I just gave you a lifetime of work to do. But you got to start now. And here is the final word. Whatever you learn this lifetime, you will awaken with the next. Because your DNA is going to be working a whole lot better the next time around. What you learn today will be carried in tomorrow. Guaranteed. This is part of the new human being on this planet. And it's the beginning, the very beginning of peace on earth. I am crying in love with humanity. Congratulations. And so it is. Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
But I want to begin with harnessing our group coherence. In these last few days, the fear and panic around the coronavirus seems to continue and grow. And when one or more are gathered, their focused intent can make a difference. And I want to ask all of you collectively, with me, to focus our intent on a little place in China called Wuhan. So I want you to focus your energy, connecting in with your heart center, on Wuhan in China. And I want you to feel the energy behind these words. I see benevolence there. I see benevolence there. I see benevolence there. And I want you to expand that focus surrounding Wuhan and into China. And I want you to feel the energy behind I see benevolence there. I want you to expand that focus to include Southeast Asia and focus on the energy of seeing benevolence there. And expand that focus to Europe. I see benevolence there. And expand that focus to all of the land within the Northern Hemisphere. I see benevolence there. And we'll do one more expansion of focus to include the lands in the Southern Hemisphere. I see benevolence there. And I ask you to put your hand on your heart center to connect in to a situation that really makes us realize we are a global family. We have brothers and sisters in every corner of the globe. And as our hearts connect with every brother and sister, we say these words to each person. I see benevolence there. I see benevolence there. I see benevolence there. And we'll just let that wave of compassionate action and benevolence flow out across the planet from one place to another.
So let us continue the benevolence presence that we are bringing from our hearts. From this day tour, touring through a Gaia land that is full of benevolence. Breathing into benevolence, filling our entire being with benevolence. Benevolence that is present in every moment of our lives. Whether we see it at a moment or not, it is always there. Let it expand it strongly into our field now. And breathe more through it. Feeling it in every cell of our body. In every cell of our field. In all that we are. And from the source that all that is, that divinity that we come from, that washes us, that loves us, that softens our hearts, that filled our hearts with compassion and love. Breathe more from it. As one group in Iceland, going through sites that we visit of mountains and geysers and waterfalls, allowing the benevolence of Gaia to fill us, to fill our hearts, to fill our mind and body and spirit and soul. Let it be fully present in you now. Feeling the earth beneath you, connecting with all the elements around you, with the cold air and with the snow. Simply benevolence. Just focus on that. Just feel that. Just allow for that to expand in you more. Breathe. Breathe. And breathe through it. And let us open our hearts in benevolence to the other side of the veil, to hear the words of wisdom, honoring, love, and benevolence from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. This is the second message from the beautiful Iceland. The group finds itself in a place where they're not going to be for long. And you might think, well, that's because Kryon is going to make this a short channel. That's not exactly correct. -3 and counting Celsius is the temperature. The sun is going down, and my partner won't last long. There'll be a channel, perhaps some insights every single time we sit and give honor for the process. You're in a pristine place, dear ones, although you might be cool at the moment. I want you to think for a moment of where you are, who you're with. And like so many times before, I'm going to give these channels. That was interesting. Now, my partner had his eyes closed. But I know what just took place. -3 Celsius and swimmers just went by. Barefoot. Must have been Icelanders. Occasionally we'll give themes, and the themes will be short ones, insights, And these next 7 channels, this is one of 7, will be that. And we're going to make each theme a letter of the word Iceland, the 7 letters. Some of you, knowing the themes of Kryon, can guess what the letters are going to stand for. But today, we're going to start with I. This one is so difficult because it's a fleeting one. It's not substantive, but dear ones, I want you just for these few moments to examine something with me. There is profundity here when you examine intuition. I have a question for you, and you can ponder it or not. You can think about it seriously or not. What is your intuition about what might be happening within you? Here is the question. Is it possible there's something larger than you, within you, around you? And if so, how would that possibly be true? Science looks at you in a very straightforward, logical way. You have synapse. You have the heart-to-brain connection. You have all of these things that the animals do, and yet there is something more. What if this something more is with every single human being? Now, I'm going to tell you something, that up till the shift that is occurring, most of those who would entertain this question are older. These are not questions that you will find the millennials asking themselves until now. Part of the shift is that young people are starting to ask the same question. Is it possible that within the human being, intuitively, there's something bigger? How is it possible? Here we get into a non-linear idea. Non-linear because it is not something that you can itemize. It isn't anything that you can put in a formula. Most of those listening to my voice right now know that when you're afraid that you can call on something bigger than yourself, it's not necessarily even that which is God or that which is above you. It's within you. Sometimes when you're going to sleep, perhaps you could just raise your hand right there where you lay. And in that gesture, you are saying, thank you. Thank you for that which is bigger than me. And intuitively, some of you will get chills. And if you're anxious, you'll feel a hug. If you're afraid, perhaps you'll feel the beautiful arms of Gaia or Spirit or something else encompass you in a way that says all is well. Intuition is real, and it starts to talk to you about something bigger that is inside. Some call it a soul, whatever that means. But then the next question, the one after that, is once you start feeling it, you say, why is it there? What is it for? Is it real? Am I going to have it for the rest of my life? All of these linear questions have to do with something that even Scripture has identified: peace beyond comprehension. Peace that passes all understanding. What is it? Intuitively within you, where you can raise that hand and then all is well. This is what light workers are discovering. But the next question is, what do you do with it? Is it just for you? Is it just so you're going to feel better? No matter what it is, bigger than you, that soul, that connection. What are you to do with it? I'll tell you right now. Light worker listening to this, if you believe intuitively that that is real, that there's something so much bigger than you within you, I'll tell you, that allows you to project it all around this world. See benevolence there. Take this light and project it to wherever you think it should be, to soothe the frustrations, to make those be able to go to sleep and say, all is well. That's what it's for. Oh, it doesn't just surround you for you. It's a tool. The longer you live on this planet, dear ones, the more you're going to use it and see it, believe it, and understand how big it is and how beautiful it is. These are the words I give you for the letter I. Intuition about something within you which is larger than you, that every single one of you have, and collectively, it's enormous. It's beautiful. Think on these things even before you retire this night. And perhaps some of you might even raise your hand as you lie there and say, thank you. Now I'm going to have a great sleep, you'll say. Dear ones, I finished this channel because my partner says, enough. And so it is. Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.
And so I want to ask, what is your intent for this message that you're about to receive? What questions do you have? What issues are in your life right now? Because Kryon tells us, Spirit tells us, that you are known and you are loved by God, the Creator, Spirit, however you wish to pose that question to the all-being, all-knowingness. You are loved and known, and so are your issues and challenges loved and known. And so how do we receive the solutions? It's allowing our intellect to step aside, connecting into your heart center, allowing your breathing to become very slow and rhythmic, allowing that connection to the heart and letting the intellect of the mind drift away into the background. It's always going to be there, but we can just tell that intellect to just be quiet, just soften, just go into the mist of clouds in the background so that we can sit and receive a message that is being given directly for you.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are always those who would say, this is a message from the other side of the veil. And in those places on the other side of the veil, of course, they have their own reality, and it isn't the human reality, so they have no idea what might be happening on the planet. Dear ones, this is a very old and linear idea. You can track it back to the ancients who look at God as apart from humans. And humans then are lowly and they have their own reality and the gods have no idea. It couldn't be further from what is actually happening. Let me ask you, if you had a scenario where you give birth to your children and somehow they go on a journey and you don't really meet them, and somebody else raises them and they are there, but you can see them clearly. You can see every move and you love them beyond measure. How would you feel about it? And the answer, you'd be on the sideline. You'd be cheering with them and crying with them and trying to reach through the veil at them, perhaps, and saying, look, we're here, we're here, we're here. We're not apart from you, we're here. This is how it is. The creative source, indeed, is your home. This is a metaphor of how Spirit, how God, how it works. And it works through that which is your soul. And we have said this before, and especially on these Healing Wednesdays, because the connection with your soul is the next step on the way to phenomenal healing, peace, longer life. And because of that, and what I have said, there are those who would say, yes, but what happened to prayer? We've told you, especially on the premiere show of these Healing Wednesdays, we told you that there would be layers of the onion on a human being, a metaphor that there are layers and layers of belief and ideas and things you've been taught and told and experienced that are now changing, and they're changing because of evolution of consciousness. You are starting to get revelations that are beyond and above what you're told. Now, there are some who simply say, no, that's not accurate. We're going to stick with everything spiritual we were told. And Kryon, you're now eliminating prayer. So let me tell you the truth. It's always been the truth. This prayer that you have right now is so simple compared to what it can be. Right now, it's a linear idea. You speak to Spirit. You hope Spirit's listening. You know it works. Prayer works. It always has. And all over the planet, there's prayer. So when you go into that healing circle, what is happening? I will tell you suddenly. It's a prayer that is so much stronger, but not just stronger. Suddenly you sit in the circle with Spirit. And instead of a prayer where you're starting to plead to a source perhaps that you're just believing is there, suddenly you are at the crux of it. And why? Because the soul is part of the Creator. Do you understand this? You are not apart from God any more than you are apart from your children. You realize that they carry part of your imprint wherever they go, your children. You might say they are made in your image. This is the same with the Creator. Your soul is part of that creative source, and it is part of you and the human. What are we saying here? When we get to the circle of 12, dear ones, we invite you to pray in any way that you want to, and you're going to find that prayer is not what it was. Suddenly you are in the middle of the energy that we talk about. Beautiful, this soul of yours. What we are telling you is that there is an evolution of energy that is spiritual on the planet. And it's not just for those who believe a certain way. It's for everyone. There will be these revelations of maturity for anyone, especially the old souls, the ones who've been here over and over. There will be these revelations, obtainable, believing anything you want to, if you wish, about who cannot receive. That is so linear. That's what humans do. They put God in boxes and say, you can have this, you can't have this, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it right. I'll tell you, when you get to that place where you step into the soul energy, all of you are equal. Every single one. There's no doctrine that says you can't do it, because your soul is yours. You step into the closet. Nobody's going to take a soul from you. Even in death, they don't take a soul from you. You step into that closet and you pretend to be alone. You're not. You have the circle of 12. You have all of that, which is you. You're Akash. You have the loving ones on the other side of the veil who know you and are saying, we see you there in the closet. We've said this for years. You don't know what you don't know. There are still those who say, well, you're changing things a little too much from what I learned. The invitation is, let the onion be peeled from what you've been taught and what you think you know, the energies that you experience, perhaps to something bigger and grander, more beautiful and more pure. The love expands, the prayer gets stronger. All of the things that you love about God, all of the things that you now have gotten used to in this linear world are about to change and get stronger, better, pure, more loving, more compassionate. All of that because of this that you've gone through, this change, this shift that happened in 2012. The planet, again, is starting to evolve and become more mature. And the first ones that will receive that are the kind of consciousness that would watch a program like this, The Old Soul. Look at who subscribes to this particular program. It will be the ones who are interested, of course. And the interested ones start to feel a tug, a pull. And they say, I want a place where I can go every week and just sit and be safe and be loved. This is the crux of that which we have created that I told my partner to do. The channels, the circle, there'll be a similarity on purpose to every single Wednesday, where we will invite you to come and sit for a while. And in that, there's a shield that goes up. Really, you can feel it. If you'll turn off, perhaps, all those things that might disturb you, the telephones, all the things that might ding and ring and and call for your attention. And there's a shield that starts to go up with intent that says, I want this to be a safe place. I want to go to a multidimensional place for a little while and sit and be loved. I want to sit with that which I know is inside my soul, which is the creative source of the universe. So I'll say it again. That which you think is inappropriately being changed is simply the onion being peeled. You got the first version. You got the children's story. As good as it was, dear ones, you are now graduating into a much larger area of knowledge, of love, of kindness, of appreciation, of what you really might have inside, which is a real strong conduit of prayer that you never had before. These Wednesdays are for you, and they will continue in their similarity to allow you to sit in the same place every single time, and perhaps even meet new entities, energies, because as your onion starts to peel, every single time you show up, there will be new revelations, new things to be learned, the ahas of your life. That's what we're here for. That's the channeling of today. It's about you always. It's about the enhancements that you have to connect with the Creator in a way you never really even thought you could. And so it is.
So how do we find that place of joy when we're in distress or we're empathically feeling into a situation? For me, the image of a dolphin automatically dispels anything else I was thinking of before. So I invite you to close your eyes and pull towards you the image, feeling, or connection with a dolphin. And each one of you has a different interaction you'll experience with that dolphin. Some of you will be standing on the shoreline watching a dolphin or even a pod of dolphins playing in the waves. Others of you will find yourself in the water, swimming with the dolphins, being a part of the dolphins. And no matter what situation you find, the dolphin's presence is enough to convey to you a feeling of dolphin bliss, a joy, a happiness, just by being in their presence. And that's all we're asking to do in this moment, for us to connect and feel the blissful, joyful, playful, happy state that dolphins are in and dolphins provide to us. And in this connection with that, already your energetic imprint is going into the crystalline grid of the earth, and it is also going into the crystalline grid of the dolphins and whales. They feel this connection. They feel this excitement of sharing this moment of joy. And it ripples out into the field that everyone on the planet is connected to in this moment. And just from you alone, spending time to connect with a beautiful animal, the dolphin, you've already made a difference. And so now we step aside so that we can hear the messages from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are so many things that I'd love to discuss with you in these new times. The things that have occurred just even recently, not only on the planet but with you, are miraculous. And you might say, well, I haven't seen any miracles on the planet, really. Light is starting to shine itself. Darkness is reacting in ways it never did before. We've said this before. That's a miracle. It's a miracle because it changes the status quo. A status quo which has been the same for hundreds of years. This is the beginning of a new planet. But more than that. We've given you some things in the past to consider, including the seed planting that we gave you in the Circle of 12. We're going to start developing some ideas around those seeds. Some a bit obscure, perhaps some that will be targeted to what you already know. This one is something you should hear. For many, many years, we've talked about your magnificence and the potential of mastery on this planet. How many of you can define mastery? You might say, well, the only model I have is what I've read and been taught of the masters on the planet of old. Many of them walked here and they did miraculous things. That's mastery. It goes way beyond that. Look at your favorite master. We've said this before. What have you been told? What's your intuition? What would it have been like to sit next to that person, he or she? One who was called a master, or a saint perhaps. One who was seen as someone who could do beautiful miracles, but more than that. I told you once that where masters walk, flowers grow. Where masters walk, animals come and sit at their feet. Because there's nothing like that, which is the consciousness of an ascended master. It's not by their works that you know them. It's by who they are and their consciousness and how it feels to be around them. Whatever master you can conjure up that you know of, or perhaps at one time have worshipped, or to this day look up to, they all had that. A consciousness that was so high that humans simply wanted to be with them, to sit at their feet. What was in common with all of the masters? I'll tell you. It's not something historians will necessarily tell you. All of them laughed. All of them. They were joyful. Dear ones, I was there. There are some secrets of mastery that you've never been told. They're put on a pedestal. You hear about their works. You read it in Scripture. But do you know the human? I'll tell you, if you could see them, if you could sit next to them, talk to them, you'd find out that they emanate a field of love. It's so strong that anyone in that field is affected in a most beautiful way possible. Some are healed simply by sitting next to them, because the cellular structure of a human is then filled with their love. It's dissolved into their DNA, you might say. That's mastery. Is it for you? Now, there are those who will say, mastery will be attainable someday on this planet because Kryon has said there will be an ascended consciousness eventually. I want to give you a secret, a hint. Consciousness does not ascend by itself. It's pushed. It's pushed and accelerated by old souls who start to understand mastery, who start to understand that who they are, what they do, and how they act goes right to a field around them as well as the field we've talked about for years, and changes it. And that it sticks. I'll tell you something else that we have said over and over, that light cancels dark. And here's what I want to tell you about that. If you have negativity in a room and you felt it, it can be dissipated almost immediately with light, with laughter, with understanding, with forgiveness. And that light and that understanding and forgiveness, that stays there. Very few can stay mad. You have to try hard to stay mad. But it's easy to stay in love. It truly is. When love is always there, and love is seen in all of its majesty and its glory and its beauty and its joy, it stays there. It sticks to the walls. It sticks to the floor. It sticks to you. It sticks to others around you. That's metaphoric, of course. But what I'm telling you is that mastery, you got to work on it right now. Do you see yourself in a potential suit of a master suit? More metaphors. The superhero of mastery, with a cape included, if you want to. Anything you can visualize. Do you see yourself or not? The first key to becoming anything other than what you are, the first key to seeing mastery in your life, is to see yourself as part of it. There are so many who say, well, it's unattainable. Why should I try? Or perhaps you've been taught that you shouldn't try. Perhaps you've been taught that you are a lowly human, and that only masters who have a godly self could do these things. And perhaps you're not able to because you've been taught that you have that which is a darkness, a dirtiness. It's a human trait, and you came with it. That's trained. That's not truth. That's trained. That's not how it is. You come equipped with love. Your soul that we take you to so often, it comes in with love. Your society is very good at training you out of it. Not the kind of love that a parent has for a child, dear one. That's beautiful. That's lovely. And so many of you are fortunate to have that. Love in your life from a partner, from a pet. So many of you so fortunate to have that. No, I'm talking about what comes in with you, with your soul, which tells you you're beautiful. that from your soul which tells you that the next step as you grow up is to create mastery in your life. That is intuitive. That is who you are. Did you know that? If this is the first time you heard that, I want you to take that in right now. You came in with the equipment of mastery. Most of the masters on this planet, they didn't walk around saying, I'm light and you're not. They didn't say that. Almost everything a master said or told you or wrote or told their disciples was, look at me. This is what you can be. Look at me. Look at what I am and what I do. I'm a human being, just like you. This is you if you want it. You all come in, you might say, as sons and daughters of the creative source. You are a soul first and a human second. And somehow the training has been all the dirtiness of the human that cannot somehow get to God. Who constructed that for you? I want you to think about deconstructing that in your life. You are masters, the potentials of the future, every single one. Tonight, in the Circle of 12, I won't give it away completely. But I'm going to continue this in this meditation of the Circle of 12, and what you can do about it, and how to proceed. Every single one of you have mastery in your future if you wish, some kind of mastery, a change of life that then will affect others around you. The beauty of love that will seem to penetrate everywhere you go, like a bubble. Wherever you move, wherever you stand, people will see it's safe to be around you. It's a good thing that you're there. They'll laugh. They'll love with you. That's the beginning of mastery. When you have that, everything else is possible. Is that for you? Do you see the mastery suit hanging in the closet, dear one? Or not? That's the first step. See yourself there. See it as you. And then it will happen. I'm crying in love with humanity. And so it is.